What to?
Good morning. I I suspect that everybody else has decided to join us in April, um, so they had an early departure. Maybe let's give them a few minutes. I'm sure they'll be here very soon, and then we can start. Okay, good morning, everyone. We started a little bit late because we wanted to accommodate some of the colleagues that were still catching up on coffee, and those that had to be persuaded that were still having a meeting today, not in April. No, welcome to everybody. This is our final day of our G20 discussions. Of course, today we focus on the critical and inspiring initiative. And that initiative, we refer to it as the Nelson Mandela G20 Goal on Youth Proposal. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our chance to solidify our commitment and empowering young people and shaping their brighter future. Now, I think it would be necessary that perhaps somebody... This is somebody's phone. I'm not sure who left it here. All right. Well, now that we've woken up, thank you very much. So I think let us perhaps start off by just summarizing, the past 3 days. I think it would be fair to suggest that we've engaged in very productive, thought-provoking discussions. Firstly, on inclusive growth. Secondly, on social security and digitalization. We've had diverse views and perspectives. We've explored innovative solutions, and we've identified some key challenges. Now, today, we can bring all of these threads together and focus our collective energy on tangible goal. And that is what we refer to as the Nelson Mandela Bay G20 Goal on Youth. This proposal, ladies and gentlemen, represents a significant step towards addressing the global youth employment challenge. And I'm confident that we can work together to make this a reality. Now, in terms of the process that we would like to follow regarding this, I'm pleased to call upon Mr. Hadebe, who will then take the podium and walk us through the initiative itself. And thereafter, we will then open it up a bit for some discussion. There isn't going to be any specific order of comment, except that, member states and invited colleagues will be given a chance to raise their hand and ask a question or express a view, and then we'll then take it from there. So it will take a form of a presentation, and thank you very much, and over to you, Mr. Hadebe.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, everyone. Dear friends and esteemed colleagues, since the Antala goal was adopted in 2015, the past decade has been a period of unprecedented transformation in the world of work. The rise of remote and hybrid work models, breakthroughs in AI and automation, and the rapid growth of the gig economy have fundamentally reshaped our labor markets. These shifts have redefined the experience of young workers, presenting both new and complex challenges. This transformation again has unfolded against the backdrop of a global pandemic, which has left an indelible mark on the entire generation. Beyond these developments, systematic issues facing domestic and international markets have continued to act as a submerged whirlpool, drowning developing countries and preventing them from uplifting many of their vulnerable groups, particularly young people and women. While the global youth unemployment rate is at its lowest level in 15 years, many young people still face significant barriers to securing decent work. inequalities persist, and stable employment remains out of reach for too many people. And also, despite the declining youth unemployment and inactivity in most G20 economies, the transitions to productive work and decent work remain fraught with obstacles, particularly for many people. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a profound reminder that our work is far from finished. As we approach the end of the SDGs, we must recognize that the race to achieve these targets is entering its final and most critical phase. The time for incremental progress has passed. We must now accelerate our efforts with urgency and determination. In this spirit, as the South African presidency, we propose the G20 Nelson Mandela Bay target on youth employment, a bold and forward-looking commitment that will replace the Antalya goal when it expires this year. This new target is not merely a continuation of our past efforts, but a transformative step forward. It builds on the progress and lessons learned from the Antalya goal while addressing the evolving realities of the global labor market. This commitment calls on G20 members to, number one, to reduce the proportion of youths as per the UN standard that are between ages 15 and 29, not in employment, education, or training, by a further 5% by 2030. This is the alignment that goes to the SDGs. Second, address gender parities and expand access to quality jobs for young people, focusing on empowering women and others. The target is a call to action to scale up investments in youth employment by operationalizing comprehensive youth employment strategies. Some of these strategies must prioritize the following: the creation of more and better jobs for young people, education and skill systems that equip youth with future-ready, market-driven competencies, and an enabling environment that fosters young entrepreneurs and supports business growth. Thus, the South African presidency hopes that the G20 member countries can support this proposal. We also call on you, on your indulgence and embrace of our proposal, but we are, however, cognizant that some states may have some concerns about certain aspects of our proposal. Our presidency is quite flexible and amenable to adjustments, counter-proposals, and enhancements to bolster and strengthen our collective document. It is critical that we present a genuinely consulted and accepted Nelson Mandela Bay target and its elements to the meeting of ministers in August and then the Leaders' Summit thereafter. Ladies and gentlemen, now turning to the second issue that we would like to see as a legacy from this presidency, we would like to discuss our vision of building upon the Compact with Africa that was established under the German presidency in 2017. We are mindful that the G20 has always been a forum for leadership and collaboration, and we must now lead by example. That means aligning our efforts and resources so that we can ensure that our strategic collaboration delivers tangible impact and transforms the lives of young people worldwide. With 5 years of accelerated action as proposed under the goal, we can create lasting change that resonates far beyond 2030. In this context, Africa must be at the forefront of our efforts. By 2050, young Africans will constitute over a third that translates to 35% of the global youth population. Their aspirations, skills, productivity will shape future global consumption, innovation, and labor markets. Ensuring African youth can thrive is not just a regional priority, but a G20 imperative. Their success is intricately tied to the prosperity and stability of the global community. The G20 has recognized entrepreneurship as a vital strategy to invigorate labor markets, foster job creation, and empower individuals to realize their potential through business ownership. Under the Chinese presidency in 2016, for instance, the G20 introduced the Entrepreneurship Action Plan to cultivate dynamic labor markets and enable individuals to establish their businesses, thereby reducing reliance on traditional employment. Furthermore, the G20 Compact with Africa provides a valuable framework for promoting private investments and sustainable development in Africa. This initiative provides a crucial platform for aligning our efforts and maximizing our impact on youth employment in the continent. As part of our commitment, the South African presidency seeks to introduce a flagship initiative on youth employment in Africa. This initiative will use existing G20 efforts, including platform and insights from the Compact with Africa, to establish a scalable and sustainable framework for youth employment. Colleagues, we would like to reveal the full details of this initiative that we propose for the implementation or accelerating the Nelson Mandela target in our next meeting. Again, we look forward to your financial support and intellectual leadership in order to ensure that Africa benefits from its youth bulge. In summary, we propose a new 5-year target called the G20 Nelson Mandela Bay on youth employment, aiming for a 5% reduction in the needs rate by 2030, aligning it with the conclusion of the SDGs. We also suggest an active engagement with this new commitment by supporting Africa's efforts to create youth employment and sustainable enterprises by leveraging existing G20 initiatives, including the G20 Entrepreneurship Action Plan and the G20 Compact with Africa. We look forward to your input and engagement regarding our proposal or proposals. Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity, and thank you, colleagues, for listening.
Thank you, Sipho. Thank you for those clear and compelling remarks there. We now open up the floor to the member states. This is your opportunity to share your feedback, offer suggestions, express your support, if any, for our proposal. Obviously, we would like to get your perspectives on how we can collectively work together in realizing this new goal. Now, as indicated earlier on, I will obviously take some hands. You can raise the flag. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to maybe deal with an issue that has been raised by some of the member states, particularly obviously the USA, that the sessions have been streamed live, and they've raised an issue with this, that it was not supposed to be the case. And I just want to indicate that we have since shut down the live streaming, and we want to apologize for any inconvenience that may have been caused because of this. If I suppose you want to reflect on that in your commentary as you ask questions or offer your support or comment on the goal, please feel free to do that. And I will take some hands. at this moment. Thank you. China, you are first.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. It is always under a bit of a pressure to be the first, but I will try my best. First of all, we would like to thank South Africa to place the youth employment as one of the priorities of this year's G20 EWG, and we welcome the proposed Nelson Mandela Bay G20 target on youth employment 2025 to 2030. After the discussion of this session, and we have carefully noted that actually the G20 economies are facing very similar challenges with regard to youth employment, including but not limited to skill mismatch, overeducation, lack of adequate social protection. In particular, the entrepreneurship needs to be further promoted. We are convinced that it is a high time to further strengthen our efforts on youth employment. In particular, we are glad to see strengthened youth entrepreneurship promotion has been selected as one of the sub-areas of this target. One of the outcomes during China's G20 presidency is G20 Entrepreneurship Action Plan and the establishment of Entrepreneurship Research Center on G20 economies as a means to implement the G20 Entrepreneurship Action Plan. Since its establishment, the center has been committed to its mission by playing an active role to build communication platforms and provide academic and informational support for G20 members' efforts to promote entrepreneurship as an effective way to create more decent jobs. During the Brazil presidency last year, our President Xi Jinping reaffirmed our support to the work of this center during his speech addressed to the G20 Summit. This year, the center will hold the 9th Entrepreneurship Roundtable and a series of seminars and will conduct research on green entrepreneurship, assessment of G20 Entrepreneurship Plan, and the recommendation for sustainable entrepreneurship development. Considering the mandate of the center, we firmly believe it has a large potential to be a powerful vehicle to facilitate the achievement of the proposed Nelson Mandela Bay goal. Therefore, we would like to see it is incorporated into this paper. And we would also like to take this opportunity to make a sincere invitation to all G20 colleagues to participate in the activities of this center. We noted that there may be some challenges to track the share of young people who are most at risk of being permanently left behind in the labor market, as well as the need rate as outlined by the target, due to the diversity of statistical methodology adopted by G20 economies. Nevertheless, we do think G20 must keep the momentum and take decisive action now to provide sufficient and high-quality job opportunities to our young people. With what has been said, China supports the proposal and looks forward to active engagements of all G20 economies in this course. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, China. We appreciate your comments. Next is Italy.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning. First of all, let me really thank again South Africa for the hospitality and for the marvelous.
Sorry, if you don't mind, if you can just.
Yes,
yeah, thank you.
My microphone is quite. I would like to really thank you for the amazing program yesterday. Thank you very much, and also for the reception. As we said yesterday, we strongly support and commend South Africa for putting forward the proposal to continue addressing the barriers that young people face in entering the labor market, and of course also to provide them with opportunities for quality jobs. In such, we really support this commitment to renew our targets and commitments and ready to set new ambitious targets. Of course, there are some aspects that need to be further clarified and discussed. First of all, in our understanding, the baseline should remain the one of the Antalya target. We should then agree on what is low quality or insecure jobs. Yesterday we have listened to the presentation by the ILO and the OECD. We think that not all temporary jobs, not all self-employment are low quality or insecure jobs. So we think that maybe more accurate or more adequate indicators could be explored in this respect. We think, on the other hand, that the target on training, on upskilling, reskilling, could be even somewhat expanded, more detailed in some aspects. We think that this is one of the goals we should pursue, to have all young people provided with training opportunities to develop skills and enter the labor market. In conclusion, Chair, we are ready really to contribute to further discussion with a supportive and constructive approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Italy, for your comments. I think next is Japan.
Thank you, Chair. So this EW session have not yet ended, but thank you very much for your warm prosperity, a good management. Thank you again. So for Japan, I would like some comment and questions. So basic stance is we are very pleased to setting the goal and the priority in terms of to introducing this session and youth employment. In addition, so I would like to further to comment. It is important to ensure employment stability for the younger generation and strengthen their economic base so that they can envision their future. In setting the G20 Nelson Mandela Bay goals, feature a new goal on youth. We hope that indicators you mentioned will be set in a way that each country can make efforts based on their actual circumstances while taking into account future discussion as well. So I would like to make a few comments and ask a question about the contents of the technical paper which is presented this time. First, we have 3 questions. Reduce need rates by a further 5%. Could you explain us the rationale why you decided to reduce further 5% and not that numbers? Which year's rate will use as a standard rate? So, second, in second sentence of this the paper, the following 4 things is said to be tackled. Word fact tackled. We would like to clarify that these are all part of needs, including gender, youth employment rate, the proportion of youth who are inactive, the proportion of you're out of school. If these are all part of the need, what does youth employment mean? The definition need is youth. I think the ages 15 until 29, not is employment, education or training. So we are not sure what data we should collect. And also we'd like to clarify what youth who are inactive means, what data we should collect. And furthermore, what kind of employment does young people in low quality, insecure forms means? Also, does the definition of young people is the same as youth age from 15 until 29. I'm very sorry, somewhat the technical question, but my colleague somewhat concerned how to manage and introduce this idea. So the second one, the boost the operationing of youth employment strategies. We have two comments regarding a boost the operationalization of youth employment strategies. In the first sentence, you mentioned national and regional youth employment strategies, but we think some countries deal with the youth employment issue only by national strategies. To suit the circumstance of each country, we prefer the flexible expression like not and. We prefer or. It is allowed to selective regional or national. It is depend on the national situation of Japan. In the last sentence, you mentioned developing robust monitoring frameworks. We'd like to clarify that developing robust monitoring frameworks means if the intent for each country to develop monitoring framework, we think it should be flexible to suit the circumstances of each country. The last one regarding the number 4. At the end, we have one comment for strengthening youth entrepreneurship promotion. In the second sentence, you mentioned establish incubation hubs in urban and rural areas. We believe that there are a variety of measures to support youth. We believe that there are a variety of measures to support youth entrepreneurship. So we prefer the expression that allows each country to choose the appropriate measures to suit their needs to priorities. Thank you very much. We are very somewhat technical one, but we basically stance is that it is important to replace the current goals to the new one. Thank you very much for chair and delegates.
Thank you very much, Japan. Next is Russia.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I also would like to thank South Africa's presidency for the wonderful excursion yesterday. It was amazing. Thank you. We support the suggestion of the South African presidency to continue active work aimed at youth employment. We agree with the suggested objective to further reduce the proportion of youth aged 15-29 not in employment, education or training by 5% by 2030, to enhance the integration of youth into labor markets through a holistic, inclusive and forward-looking approach. In conclusion, Russia supports Nelson Mandela Bay goal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Russia. I think next is the EU.
Thank you very much, Chair. I can only join in the thanks for yesterday. I think your only challenge is that you've set such a high standard for the future meetings. So it will really be a tough job to keep up with this excellent organization. So in terms of this very, very important work on fighting youth employment, the EU is well on track to meet the Antalya target by this year, but that doesn't mean that this is an easy thing to do. Improving labor prospects for all young people remains an enormous challenge. And in the EU, the needs still represent a group of over 8 million young people. We therefore, as EU, find that it's very sensible to step up this work and to set a new target. The EU target that we have for 2030 is to reduce the NEET rate to 9% by 2030. So we're very much with you there in terms of continuing this work. But as has been expressed by Italy and Japan, I think we need to work together to look at exactly what this means in terms of baseline and indicators, and that's something we can do, I think, very positively in the meetings to come. Thank you very much, Chair.
We appreciate the comments. UK, you are next.
Thanks very much, Chair, and also thank you from the UK for the amazing excursion yesterday and the wonderful hospitality that followed. I think, as my colleague from the EU sort of said, we're going to need to look at the next meetings and see what we can do in the future to up that. Maybe we're trying to collect all of the big five. Maybe that's the ambition, and that can be our target too. So just to come to your ambitions for addressing the NEET rate, strongly supportive of the ambition. Obviously, we need a bit of time to consider it further with experts at home, but the ambition is very much for the goal is in line with what the UK is doing regarding our own efforts to achieve an 80% employment rate in the UK. I have a couple of clarifying questions in relation to the first pillar. I think I'll let you know. I mean, they're very similar to what others have said. So the first question is, when will we begin to measure the further 5% reduction? Will it be once we adopt the goal or once countries have reached the 15% for Antalya? And also, is it a 5 percentage point reduction that we're committing to, or a 5% number, as we've done for Antalya? I think those would be really useful bits of information for the UK and other members. And then beyond that, we just look forward to further discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, UK. Next is Brazil. If you don't mind just speaking closer to the mic, some of the speakers we could not quite hear clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Is that close enough?
Very close. Very close.
All right, good. So first of all, I'd like to thank you for your hospitality. We've been working a lot, but we've been have so much fun. So thank you for that. And of course, Brazil is 100% supportive of the new Nelson Mandela Bay target. We have some comments too. We understand, as Emiliano from Italy just said, that not all temporary or self-employed jobs are a problem, but in Brazil we have some problem with that, and in Latin America in general. So with that in mind, we would like to be careful with the strengthen youth entrepreneurship promotion, because sometimes it happens that jobs that are not so quality jobs being called entrepreneurship. That's why it's very important, as the colleague of China just said, to involve entrepreneurship research center in this discussion. And the other thing I'd like to say is we've been talking about youth employment, of course, since Antalya, and of course it's a concern of all of us. But the thing is, we've been talking about skills and reskilling and skills mismatch and preparing youth and the transition from school to work. We've been talking about this, and I'd like to point out that there's of course, to talk about gender, the numbers are going to be separated by gender, but we have to talk about the gender feature in the youth unemployment and how young women are more affected than men in general. And if we're going to talk about that, we have to talk about care policies. Because the thing is, in Latin America especially, there's a lot of young women that consider themselves as not working when they are taking care of an elderly relative, taking care of their homes. So we have to talk about that too. I'd like very much to see something about that in the document, if everybody is okay with that. So thank you, Chair. This is my comments.
Thank you, President. Yes, indeed, that was close enough. Canada, you're next. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues, and thanks again for the lovely day yesterday. We really appreciated it. I'd like to thank South African Presidency for bringing forward the Nelson Mandela Bay G20 target on youth employment, asking G20 members to comment on the new goal and outline related domestic actions we are taking to support its objectives. As mentioned earlier in the week, Canada is meeting the current Antalya target. However, we have work to do. We welcome the proposed renewed goal, which aims to reduce youth need by a further 5% by 2030. However, we have similar questions and would like to see more information on it, as our colleagues do as well. And enhance, the new target aligns, with our shared commitment to reducing the number of youth need and ensuring all young people have opportunities to thrive in our economies. Canada also supports accelerating the deployment of youth employment strategies, including the African Union and International Labour Organization's Youth Employment Strategy for Africa. Ensuring alignment with inclusive developmental goals and robust monitoring frameworks to track progress and improve results. Over the past few years, Canada has implemented several initiatives to foster youth employment and reduce youth need. These have focused on enhancing education to workforce transitions, expanding work integrated learning, and promoting innovative learning, all of which equip youth with the skills needed in the future workplace. In renewing the target, Canada would like to emphasize, similar to some of the comments just made by Brazil, the importance of targeted interventions that not only address gender disparities, but also other systematic inequities impacting marginalized groups of youth, including persons with disabilities, low-income youth, and Indigenous peoples. We look forward to hearing more from South Africa at the next meeting on the new commitment and how we can best work together to meet and go beyond the Antalya target to build a fairer and more inclusive future for younger generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Australia, you're next.
Thank you, Chair. And I'd like to join my colleagues in also thanking South Africa and the Nelson Bay municipality for the spectacular hospitality yesterday. As I've discussed with your colleagues, Chair, Australia is, as the OECD and ILO have noted, one of the countries currently on track to achieve the Antalya goal. And indeed, we've got the second lowest need rate in the G20 at the moment. A result of this, though, of course, is that it will be challenging for us to achieve further reductions in NEET. The government is committed to further improving opportunities for youth. So we would, as we discussed the goal, we'd be interested in opportunities to sort of broaden the wording to be inclusive of countries with that situation, a bit like my Japanese colleague mentioned. But we look forward to being really constructive in the discussions on that, with the slight caveat that at our next meeting, Australia might need to be in observer status due to our upcoming federal election. Thank you again, Chair.
Thank you, Australia. Up next is USA.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll use the opportunity to join everyone in saying how wonderful this week has been, but also in particular the excursions yesterday. So thanking you for helping us all build a community of G20 Labor and Employment Ministry colleagues. I think we'll all have something very nice to remember and build that positive momentum towards reaching collective goals, just like this one. Regarding your new proposal, we believe it's an important area of work that must continue to be a priority and appreciate you taking the leadership on this. We also appreciate you welcoming further adjustments and enhancements to this and the opportunity to comment and to hear everyone else's considerations and questions. We are still also in the process of reviewing and discussing internally, and so we'll want to continue to do that in the coming months. Some of the suggestions you've put forward on how we would operationalize youth employment strategies, we'd be very interested in hearing more about what you're thinking in terms of opportunities for developing more concrete monitoring frameworks to assess and refine these policies, as well as what concretely it could look like in operationalizing it. We remain committed to working together to address our common challenges that affect young people in the world of work. and anything that would help us better understand how we can better do so and better equip young workers with the skills they need to succeed and contribute. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, US of A. Germany, up next.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Also, on behalf of the German delegation, I would like to thank you for yesterday's wonderful excursion. It was truly amazing to see what we saw. At the same time, I would like to comment on what you have presented. We share many of the things that have already been said. We are looking forward to maybe receiving a more detailed proposal, but at the same time, we are also ready to comment on what has been sent to us. We would maybe make one more point. As we looked at our needs data, it seems important to us to know and distinguish between who is inactive and who is actually unemployed. This is, I think it is, as you can, when you look at the data for Germany, you can see we have, to a certain extent, more needs than actually unemployed youth, because we have a lot of inactive youth, and you're right, Myra, women or girls are a lot more inactive than young men, and we would also like to look into the reasons, and we have to target this as a country, this problem. At the same time, I would like to support what you said about the compact with Africa. I have spoken about this already on Tuesday to you. We fully support the African presidency in setting up a compact 2.0, and we're happy to work with you. And I know OECD and ILO have also been looked into the compact. I can also only say that we are hoping for everyone's or every country's support on the compact with Africa, financially and otherwise, so that we, as the employment working group, will be able to start the flagship initiative that the South African presidency is going for. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think that I don't see, oh yes, India.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for your hospitality. As far as the new proposal on youth employment is concerned, India supports the introduction of National Mandela Bay G20 goal on youth employment, which builds upon the expiring Antalya goal. This new goal aims to reduce NEET rates by 5% by 2030, with focus on digital literacy, skill development, and entrepreneurship. India recognizes the urgent need to bridge the gap between education, employment, and is committed to scaling up effective employment policies and strengthening policy coordination to create inclusive and sustainable employment pathways for young people. In true spirit of tripartite efforts, we would also like to see adequate focus on business responsibility towards improving sustainability, youth skilling, job creation through job-focused investment and technology adoption that supports employment-led development. We also emphasize leveraging technology to the supply chain and the labor market. Furthermore, India is keen to explore how the Nelson Mandela Bay G20 goal on youth employment can reinforce the G20 compact with G20 countries. India acknowledges South African presidency's commitment to advancing this initiative and remains dedicated to fostering sustainable growth and employment opportunities across the continent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, India. Spain.
Thank you very much. We welcome the proposal of the new Nelson Mandela G20 objective and are obviously looking forward to knowing more about this initiative. But I just wanted to very quickly take up on what Brazil said about hiding low-quality jobs for youth under the name of entrepreneurship. And also, I wanted to mention that there is something we would like to talk about, and there's an issue that is often hidden in the NEET metric, and is the issue of internships. Spain is very focused on fostering youth employment, but also on ensuring that the working conditions of young people are fair, and also on avoiding temporary overqualification or precarious jobs. Also, this means that we are fully committed with the promotion of quality traineeships and the protection of trainees, because as we know, internships are a common means of young workers to access the labor market. But I think we must ensure that company training does not constitute a formula for avoiding the application of labor regulations. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Spain. France.
Thank you, Chair. And once again, I'll join everyone. I think we all agree we had an amazing time yesterday, both during the day and in the evening. We truly enjoyed it. I'll try to be short. We welcome the target. We think it's ambitious. But like other colleagues, we would like to have further details, and I won't repeat, because most of our preoccupations have been already mentioned by the UK, Italy, the EU. But we believe we could be supportive of it. I will make just a few comments in terms of what actions do you think you will recommend in order to reach the target. France, in that sense, would advocate, for instance, for stimulating investments by G20 countries in the green, digital, and even care economies through other policies like activation policies and social protection schemes, providing income support to combat youth unemployment and inactivity. We will also welcome recommendations to facilitate access to finance for young entrepreneurs, as it has been mentioned several times. And overall, we would recommend investing in education, whether public or private, as well as investment in continuous training. Thank you, Chair.
So thank you very much, France. Next is Turkey.
Thank you very much, Chair, and not only giving me the floor, but for the lovely program yesterday. As Turkey, we are quite happy to see South African presidency's decision to revisit the Antalya Youth Target. As I have already mentioned in my intervention during the first session, our national efforts in the last decade could only produce some minor improvements, but our commitment grew only stronger. However, there are some revisions in our approach to the matter, as we are currently concentrated on the age group 15 to 24 in our national development plan and also in our national employment strategy. And as I have already mentioned, we have set a specific target for NEET rates for the year 2028. It may seem a little bit parallel with the proposal that you made, but we also need some further explanation on the base year, especially if we are taking into account the year 2014 or we are starting again with the last figures. Having said that, I can only express our happiness to see to have such an insightful discussion here and eager to see its evolution. Thank you very much.
Okay, India, I think your flag is still up there. Okay, thank you. Anyone that I've missed? Okay, I don't see anyone else. So maybe let's give an opportunity to South Africa to maybe comment on how we intend processing some of the issues and remarks that have been raised. Over to you, Sipho.
Thank you very much, teacher. Good morning, colleagues. Quite a wealth of information in terms of the inputs that I requested. As we all know that the document submitted was indeed a preliminary introducing the idea. We fully welcome the comments, the questions that have been raised, and would be taking those into consideration as we develop further the document for engagement in our next meeting. We'll have to make some time just to then take up the issue again, taking into consideration the clarity that has been sought today, and then further engagement in that particular meeting. I think, I can't remember whether it's Argentina or some, or it's the US that just said, we're ready for the adjustments and the enhancement. So we're looking forward to the discussion in our next meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think what we want to do before perhaps we take some closing remarks, I think there are a couple of announcements that we would like to make. And Siyabonga and Sipo, who's going to take those?
Thank you, Tichi. A few announcements. There would be a presentation on the IT in terms of accessing the documents, because a number of colleagues have raised that they're having some challenges, but would also like to deal with the registration for the next meeting, because we were starting a process and we just want to improve on that for our second meeting. Colleagues, there's an urgent request for member states that have not submitted their target on the Antalya and Brisbane to submit to the ILO urgently, so that they can finalize the report, the annual submissions. We have been approached by a number of colleagues around the LEM taking place over a Saturday, and I raised in my first intervention a potential of extending to a Sunday, the third, and all that. I mean, the fourth, was it the third? 1, 2, yeah, the third. So we've had a discussion and wanted to bring to this meeting a proposal of a revised dates for the ministerial. So what we're thinking is that the employment working group starts on Monday as opposed to the current Tuesday. So it would be the 28th. So we run the 3 days as we run our meeting. And then we have the ministerial on a Thursday, the 1st. In an event of that joint ministerial we spoke about earlier, that would be then on the 2nd. So we compress everything into that week so that at least colleagues would have a weekend free and go back to holidaying or travel and see holidays in South Africa. So we thought we would present that, and it's important for us then to get a sense whether that will work, so that we can then start reworking the logistics. The ministerial meeting will definitely take place in George, which is in the Western Cape. So flights, Joburg to George, Cape Town to George. So that should be manageable. And then the third point, or rather the third announcement, we unfortunately had to change the venue of our next meeting in April. The dates are still the same, but the venue would change, and we will try and advise at the latest by next week, Tuesday, of the new venue. I'll simply indicate that the venue we're going to felt that this is just too much. They can't handle this high level, so please take the guests to a better venue than we could offer here. So we will then busy working on arranging a new venue. Definitely the dates are not changing, just the possible province that would be taking you to. Thank you, teacher.
Okay, thanks, Sipo. I think what we'll have to do is to communicate as soon as possible the new venue so that people can make the necessary arrangements. April always seems far, but it's just around the corner. So I think to enable delegates to make the appropriate arrangements, we will communicate as soon as, hopefully next week, in terms of the new venue. Okay, sorry, we had to consult a bit. There is a presentation that we would like to quickly just walk you through, which would explain how to access the documents and some of the material that you require. It won't be long. Our IT people, can you please quickly take the stage and provide those logistical explanations?
Good morning. I have a presentation from the Information and Communications Desk. If you can just beam the presentation. Okay, this is only just quick guidelines because we have been given a lot of questions came through for us, so it means the guidelines were not properly considered. I will explain the accreditation, the information that we require, the access to the information like circulars and other documents, and the program, the QR code that is on our access cards. That's the program. Even if the program changes, the QR code is still relevant. So any program is on the access card. And we went paperless for this G20, and that email address there is the one that we use for all the queries and all the information that you need to send through for the G20. And the requirements are name, surname, and email address so that we send you the invite. And after the acceptance of the invitation, you send the ID number or passport details into the very same email. This is how the invite looks like. I think there was a confusion because most people have seen that and they could not understand what that is. And for acceptance, you go to that RSVP today, and then it will ask you address details, your country details, occupation, and all those things. And then you send through, you submit. And this is how it looks like. Because it's a closed invite, you find yourself in the portal because we would have invited you individually. And here we do have the contact details and the supporting documents like your circular, your hotel and logistics. They are on the portal, and they are also will be sent to all the delegates who have accepted. So from there, we do have the media information like your pictures, presentations, and everything. They are currently on the QR code that is outside. You can scan there. And apparently there's a lot of us who are having challenges with that. So you can go to the Labour website. All the presentations are there. and all the pictures will be loaded. This is how it looks like once you go into that a website, and then you can get all your presentations and everything that was shared within this conference. Thank you.
Okay, that was a quick whiz through. They will be available, ladies and gentlemen, for those that still would like to clarify one or two issues. They are around for most of the day, if not all of the day. Now that we've done with that segment of our day, I think it would be fair to me to suggest that it's now time for me to make a very long speech. Now, distinguished guests, delegates, and esteemed colleagues, we are indeed honored to have had you with us as guests and delegates. We really are, are appreciative of your presence here with us. Equally, I'm grateful and feel accomplished as we reach the final stage of the first G20 Employment Working Group meeting. Over the past couple of days, we have had robust engagements and discussions. We've shared innovative ideas. We've forged collective vision for a more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable future of work. Of course, it will be amiss of me not to mention the fact that we also forged some friendships, and long may they continue. Under the South African theme of solidarity, equality, sustainability, our meeting has been a testament to the power of collaboration and shared purpose. We broadly covered 2 of 4 priorities, that is inclusive growth and youth employment. We also covered social security and digitalization for an inclusive future of work. That is priority 4. These priorities, ladies and gentlemen, have guided our discussions and allowed us to tackle some of the most pressing and challenges facing the global labor market. Now, we focused obviously on ensuring that we create decent work, which is a theme that has come through quite significantly from most of the presentations that came through. We do owe this to our young people. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to take a moment and reflect on the key outcomes and insights from our discussions that we've held. I don't seek to repeat everything that everybody has said. I'm merely trying to paraphrase what we gleaned as insights for the past couple of days. On the first day, we focused on reducing the need or rate, with the need rate, a critical issue demanding urgent action. We had excellent presentations by the international organization, academia, and experts on this very critical subject, which showed us that the latest information and data sets that later shaped our understanding and the issues involved. The ILO and the O perspective, explaining the alarming unemployment rate, the compensation fund and the supported employment enterprises presented on inclusive labor market and decent jobs for rehabilitation and persons living with disabilities. While we regret that the World Bank could not join us, arrangements have been made for their presentation in April, ensuring that gender youth issues remain central to our agenda. Member countries also presented ambitious targets and strategies. For instance, Canada aims for a 15% reduction in need by 2025, emphasizing improved education to workforce transitions. China has integrated youth employment into its national strategies, ensuring that young people are at the heart of its economic planning. Germany is leveraging private investments to reduce youth unemployment, and while United Kingdom and Northern Ireland are addressing their 12.5% need rate through comprehensive and supportive measures. One critical and very interesting issue raised by the UK and Northern Ireland concerns the issue of mental health, where young people report mental health challenges affecting their education and employment progress. This is a great lesson for many of our countries that have youth struggling with mental health, substance abuse, and teenage pregnancies. Nevertheless, integrated services combining mental health support with career guidance emerged as key solutions that the UK put forward. Additionally, integrating skills training and technological advancements, including AI, into youth development programs was a recurring theme in many speaker statements. There was a strong emphasis on the need to ensure accessibility and job creation than displacement, with initiatives like Germany's Compact with Africa and projects in Nigeria aiming to support sustainable development and inclusive growth across the continent. Dear delegates and colleagues, we also celebrated the launch of the G20 Social Policy Portal, a collaborative effort by Brazil, ESA, and the ILO to facilitate knowledge sharing. Africa-linked programs from India, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE have demonstrated a strong commitment to supporting digitalization and inclusive growth on the continent. Moving to the second day, we shifted our focus to the effects of digitalization on social protection, particularly for platform workers who often lack traditional benefits. Once again, this leg of the program began with outstanding presentations that advocated, amongst other things, reclassifying these workers as employees and implementing India introduced incentives for youth and MSME job creation. Italy expanded its youth guarantee program to support NEET youth. Japan enhanced digital skills and job support through public employment services. Saudi Arabia launched its Human Capital Development Program to promote inclusive labor markets. The UAE implemented the NAFIS program, which focuses on private sector jobs and training in AI and cybersecurity. The third day revealed groundbreaking advancements in digitalization and social protection. Germany, as an example, is leading the way with digitizing and automating labor processes, launching AI-driven employment and social protection services in 2021, and funding AI innovative projects since 2023. India aims to achieve 70% female workforce participation by 2047 and has expanded social security coverage to approximately 48% of its population, benefiting around 800 million people with subsidized food, rather. Saudi Arabia is leveraging digitalization to enhance productivity and job creation in data analysis and AI sectors. Singapore actively supports future work patterns through, Singapore actively supports future work patterns through initiatives like digital skills, training, and the recent enactment of the Platform Workers Act, which offers protections and rights for platform workers. These initiatives provide the G20 member states with crucial tools for enhancing employment policies. The focus on digital skills development, the incorporation of AI with labor frameworks, and targeted support for marginalized worker demographics such as gig economy participants, offer foundation for collective approaches. These strategies, ladies and gentlemen, cultivate a more inclusive and future-oriented workforce on a global scale, addressing emerging challenges and opportunities in the labor market. Today, we culminated our discussions with the Nelson Mandela Bay G20 goal on youth proposal, a bold and inspiring initiative that reflects our collective commitment to empowering young people. This goal builds on the entire goals and sets a clear roadmap for reducing need rates, enhancing youth transitions to decent work, and ensuring no young person is left behind. The strong support expressed by member states and invited countries today reaffirms our shared determination to turn this vision into reality. By focusing on job-rich, inclusive growth, targeted skills development, robust social protection systems, we can create a future where every young person has the opportunity to thrive. I believe as well that the L20, which held its discussions on the sidelines of the G20, also had very productive discussions. As we part ways, I urge each and every one of us to carry forward the momentum which we have built here today. Let our discussions translate into concrete actions, our commitments into tangible results, and our solidarity into meaningful change. The outcomes of our work will feed into the ministerial and leaders' declarations, shaping the global agenda for years to come. I sincerely appreciate our Troika, knowledge partners, social partners, meaning B20 and L20, all G20 members and invited states for your invaluable contributions. Your insights, experiences, and collaborative spirit have made this meeting very successful. A heartfelt thank you to the people of Gqeberha and the Eastern Cape for their warmth and hospitality. It is only fitting that we held these discussions in the city named after Utatu Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, a global icon of justice, equality, and dignity. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, it would be remiss if I did not express my gratitude to my colleagues for their unwavering dedication in organizing this meeting. Diabulela, Yaleboha, Baya Danki, your hard work has set indeed very high standards for others in our country that are still to hold their own working groups. To all participants, thank you for your cooperation, engagement, and during our social programs. I think most of us enjoys those. We hope you dance even more in our upcoming meetings and continue to embrace our culture as your own. Vielen Dank, muchas gracias, obrigado, thank you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I formally close the first G20 Employment Working Group. Safe travels, and may we continue working together towards a future built on solidarity, equality, and sustainability. I thank you very much. My colleagues tell me that they still would like to make sure that you are properly fed and the lunch is served at the venue next door. It's a very early lunch indeed. I think it's in recognition of what happened last night.